We're here with Mary Wilson. Mary Wilson, I would say, is more than a legend. She is the queen, like you say, queen of divas, whatever it is. She is it, Mary. To me, Mary Wilson, look, I promoted the Supremes in the beginning. If it wasn't for me, I'm sure Barry Gordy wouldn't have been in the business today. That I could say because it's written up. It started with Mary Wells. The Marvelettes was the one that made Motown. Okay, then I had the Supremes, whatever it is. But it was my pleasure to meet Mary Wilson. To me, Mary Wilson, as far as the other three girls, they're beautiful, Diana Ross and all them, but Mary Wilson was the star of that group, okay? And I say that Mary Wilson, there's no singer that I know that puts on a show, okay, like Mary Wilson. She does an unbelievable one-night show that I loved, okay? She does Take Off on Temptations, Take Off on the Four Tops, and then she comes with Mary Wilson herself. And Mary, let me tell you, they always talked about Mary of the Supremes as the prettiest one around. And the other girls were nice. I'm very, very nice girls. Look, I'm not trying to offend Diana Ross. Diana Ross is my neighbor. I live in Greenwich, Connecticut. Diana Ross lives there. But I tell you, Mary Wilson is the star. Believe me, and everybody's going to hear more about her, even though they did hear about her. But now she's back. She's back, bigger as ever, and she's coming out with recordings and CDs. And
I love him.
now this is the truth. This is the truth. I think Mary Wilson, to me, is a great, great, great artist. And besides, beautiful artist, is a legend. And you're talking about royalty or rock and roll, Mary Wilson is royalty or rock and roll. So now here she is.
I love
Mary
it.
Wilson, the queen of divas, Mary Wilson.
That's awfully kind. You know, I think
the truth.
the one thing that I really like about my life is that I was able to meet Florence and Diane very early on. And when I met them in 1959, I can say that my life just came all together. I knew exactly who I was when I met them, and it has never changed. So there's something about being at the right place at the right time, but also I think that when you're blessed to have all of your life just come right into focus and you're on the right road, if that's what you call whatever you just said, then I thank God for that.
Well, we have to thank God for everything. I thank God too, because
Car, a limo that we bought from George Harrison, my ex-husband and I. It was a stretch, what was it, a Mercedes limo.
Your husband was from Beverly Hills or something like that?
Well, no, he's from Puerto Rico. Well, he's from Santo Domingo.
Yeah, but he lived in Beverly
Where
Hills.
is he from?
No, but he lived in Beverly Hills.
Yes.
Really.
But we bought the car from
Right.
George Harrison, which actually had belonged to John Lennon. So, but we toured all over England in that car.
Talk about
It was
the
really
Mercedes.
The Mercedes,
Yeah,
it was great. But George is a great guy. Just loved him.
George was very close to me. I mean, I was involved with George also. I put together a concert called Bangladesh.
Yes, I've heard it. Yes, sure. Mhm.
So I was involved. I'm in the film too with it, and it was me.
Oh, now I got to go back and look at it again
Well,
to
look,
find
you'll
you.
see me in the
Okay.
film, you'll see me with press conferences and backstage and all that. I was the one who got Bob Dylan to get onto the stage. Because Bob didn't want to do the concert, he wanted to do the stage. So
Well, you should write a book.
Well, I just made a big deal about a month ago, very big deal.
Okay, yes.
One of the big companies. Actually, Marty Scorsese wants to do a movie on me. He's going to be the director.
Well, I tell you what, when you talk to him, see if he can do a movie on the Supremes based upon my book, My Life as a Supreme.
He probably might do that.
He's great, though. I love his movies.
he's a
Yeah,
good guy.
he's
He's
really
a nice-
great.
nice guy.
Well, you know who I saw tonight was really great. I mean, some of the people I've not seen since the 1960s. In fact, Hilton Valentine, who was with the Animals. I haven't seen Hilton since 1966. And I remember he and I went out on a little date, and then he took me by his apartment. This was over in England. And he played me all of these records, these blues records, and I had never heard of them. He says, "You mean you're from America, you're black, and you don't know all these, blues singers?" I'm like, "No, I don't." So he really taught me a lesson. Anyway, I saw he and his wife tonight, and there was this. I hadn't seen him since '66, and we were like, "Oh my God, I haven't seen him." This is a great thing, to be with all these different people. Al, I mean, we did Al. You remember we did the Santa Monica, what was it? Yeah, with all and the Rolling Stones were on that
That's right.
on that tour,
I was
and James Brown was on
Yes.
it, and backstage we were all saying, they told us, well, you know, the Rolling Stones are going to close the show, and so everyone was saying the Rolling Stones are going to close the show over James Brown, and so James Brown was saying, the Rolling Stones are going to close the show over me. And then the Rolling Stones were saying, oh my God, we're going to close the show over James Brown. So it was like a really, and no one really, you know, knew the Stones as much, but that was a great time. I mean, we've had great time in this business, huh?
Yeah, I like James Brown.
Oh God, he was great. Yeah, he was great.
But talking about your label that you were on, Motown,
Yes.
I enhanced the label. You know, I really made that label what it is today, I guess. And there was another gentleman. You girls probably don't remember. First time I met you girls, I met you in a hotel room. And the hotel was very gaudy. And a gentleman by the name of Seymour Stein. Now, Seymour Stein is the one that made Madonna, you know, Side Records.
Okay.
And Seymour, at that time, Seymour was only about 16 years old, was the one that used to do the charts for Billboard magazine.
Oh.
But nobody knew that. They thought somebody else was. So after school, he used to work for Billboard magazine. So if it wasn't for Seymour, you girls wouldn't have been on the chart at the beginning. Or Motown, we wouldn't have had the Mary Wells to hit on the chart. And actually, what made Motown at that time was one record. Was Please Mr. Postman.
Oh yeah,
Marvelettes. And I'm the one who put Barry together with Barney Ellis.
Ellis.
You know Barney
yeah.
Ellis.
Oh, of course, the sales manager of Motown. Are you kidding?
That's right. I put him together.
I love
with
Barney Ellis.
Yeah,
you know what? Because he and Berry Gordy wrote Please Buttered Popcorn, which Florence Ballard sang on. And he was like thrilled with that because it was his composition. But Barney was a great guy. I mean, he was fabulous. He is fabulous, I should say. You know.
And of course, you know, from the two buildings over there, and that's what happened. Please, Mr. Postman made so much money that they put the big building downtown Toronto, that big building. And then I had the pleasure that time making a deal with the Jacksons, Jackson 5. I had to make the Jacksons with Motown that time, but I put the Jacksons together with Epic Records.
Okay.
So I'm the one who took the Jacksons to Epic, where Motown was going crazy, where Barry was going crazy at that time.
I just learned something.
You know, you're going to learn more. But I'll tell you, Mary, I think you are a great artist, and one day I'd love to work together with you on a big show I might be planning for one of the biggest artists and all the artists that are superstars in the whole world. Okay, and I know that day is going to come.
All right. Well, I'm preparing myself for it.
I'd love to have Mary Wilson Supremes with the Supremes.
Well,
That's Mary Wilson. But
Yeah, well, can I tell you something about that? I'm so happy that I have finally found my voice in singing, because, you know, I was doing the oohs and ahs, and people are laughing. I would say, but don't be laughing, because I was laughing all the way to the bank for, you know, whatever, celebrating my 50th anniversary. But now I've just finished recording a live performance of my jazz show that I put together. And it's totally different from anything I've ever done, you know, with the Supremes. I am so proud of this record. And I'm also recording a CD of just original songs,
Beautiful.
which is going to show the public now, because nobody really knows what I sound like except the real fans, you know.
Right.
And the masses really don't. So this is going to give myself not just as a Supreme, but as Mary Wilson, which is what you were just saying. I just wanted you to know that
Mary
I'm
Wilson.
finally doing that.
Absolutely.
It's taken me all these years. I'm a turtle. I move slow, but I get there.
Well,
It's all about the journey. It's not about the goal. It's about the journey. So I was a little slow, but now I know what I know, and I'm very pleased about that.
You know, it's like the Beatles individually. You know, it's Paul McCartney wants to be just Paul McCartney. John Lennon wanted to be just John Lennon. George wanted to be just George. And Ringo, of course, you know.
Oh, he's great.
Ringo's a great guy. In fact, I was with him
Yes.
2 weeks ago at a party. Paul came out on the stage, whatever, you know, sang. It was a great evening, whatever. So, you know, besides, it's the same thing like the Supremes, you know, Mary Wilson. Then the same thing with Beach Boys. Now you got Al Jardine. So Al Jardine's going to be just Al Jardine.
Yes.
Okay. How long could you live with the Beach Boys? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
That's
you know,
fine, but it gave you a start of something.
Let me tell you, I thought that the Supremes, in fact, one of the songs I recorded is called I Thought We'd Go On Forever. I really enjoyed being a Supreme. If I died right now, I'd want to come back as Mary Wilson of the Supremes. So I don't have a problem with that. But, you know, after that's over, you got to know how to move on.
Exactly.
You can't stay in a place if that place no longer exist, you know. And so what it was that boxer says, once, you know, you got to know when to get out of that ring when it's over.
It's the same thing. It's like it's almost like you come from a certain neighborhood. If you're from Michigan, you're from that neighborhood.
Yeah, that's where
you
you're
can't
from.
be ashamed and say you're from that neighborhood.
That's
that
it.
neighborhood, that's where you grew up.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm from the Bronx. I'm a tiny kid.
You
tiny boy
from the Bronx?
A
Oh!
tiny boy from the Bronx. You know what I mean? And now everybody figure it out. I'm from the Bronx. Okay, broke the British invasion in America. The Animals, Hermits, Dave Clark 5,
Yeah.
Jeff Beck as a guitar player, broke one. Worked with Elvis Presley, and actually I worked with Elvis 68, 69, Suspicious Mind, and broke that record. And of course I've been with the Beatles for about 8 years, you know, and running the company and running their individual who's on first, who's on second, who's on third, and when is my record, his record is number one, how come my record is number two, and all that. And if Paul complains that John Lennon's number one, I said, Paul, don't worry, your record's going to be number one in a couple of weeks. And then George goes, wait, how about me, what's going on? I said, don't worry about it, George, we're moving up in the charts another 3 weeks. I made them all number ones. So but let me tell you something, just the honest truth, I had to pray every night. I had pressure on me praying because I had to come true, okay? So no matter what I done, it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? You had to work, and believe at that time, you didn't have Federal Express, remember that, okay?
Or faxes,
Or faxes.
cell phones,
Cell phones and
copy
all that,
pictures
okay?
in a second.
I remember even promoting exclusive records. I started in this country. I was the first one to start exclusivity with acetates of the Beatles, of the Stones, even Elvis Presley thing. Well, what? With airline stewardesses, with pilots. I used to go to the airport and to give it to the airline stewards. Boom, the guy in LA, the program director, meets them at the airport. 6 o'clock, the atomic bomb hits. New York, Chicago, LA, first and exclusive worldwide. So, you know, it was a big challenge, you know what I mean? And the same thing with the Motown stuff, and the same thing with the Supremes, you know what I mean? And you gotta understand, Supremes had hit.
We had
after
12
hit.
number ones, yes.
12 number one
In
hits.
fact, we had 5 consecutive number ones, and people don't talk about that a lot. But back in those days, that was really significant. You know, another thing is people don't
Great
realize
group.
how hard it is. They see the glamour and the beauty of it, and that's what they see. But it really is hard work. Here's what I tell most people: it's better to have a passion about what you do, because you're going to have to work hard. So if you're working hard, it might as well be something you enjoy. So we work hard, but hey, look, we can brag about it. You know?
Well, it's the same thing. You're on a stage performing. I
Yeah.
mean, if you enjoy yourself performing, the public are going to enjoy it with you.
Well, that's the moment when you're in heaven.
That's it. See, the people enjoy it. They will know you enjoy it. People want to see you work anyhow on the stage. Like you work hard on the stage.
Yeah, but it's not work on stage. That's the time. Everything else leading up to it, the traveling, the interviews, the this and that and that. That's where the hard work is. Once you get on stage, you are absolutely in the zone. You are in heaven, and it's all worth it. All the other hard work around it. And hey, we're blessed. Everybody
Well,
wants to do
that's
what we do.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, but
They
I
don't
love
know
it.
what's behind the scene, what you got to do. And this
Then
and
they
that.
don't care.
Well, why should they care? They pay
They
admission
don't
for a
care.
ticket. They sit down. They want to relax. They want to see a show.
Entertainment.
They don't know what goes on. They don't know what goes on. Promotion, marketing, this and that, whatever it is.
Oh, listen, no complaints, no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets. But I have learned that all you give is all you get. So give it all you got. I got to go now, honey. I got a concert to do. Bye.
Big hand for Mary Wilson.